In this video, we're going to briefly give an introduction to descriptive statistics with technology, and this is just a real basic introduction of some basic concepts. So it is important to work through some statistical computations by hand, even without a calculator, in order to gain a better understanding of the meaning of the various statistical measures. So up to this point in the videos and in the notes, everything that we've done really could be done without a calculator altogether. However, real-world data sets are often very large. The data and the statistics computed from them are not always nice whole numbers. For example, when we went back to the derivation and the explanation around probably the most complicated thing we've done so far was mean absolute deviation and standard deviation. And the tables that we worked out with those, we made sure that the data sets were small. We made sure that the values were nice natural number values. We made sure that the mean was a nice natural number value. We made sure that all of these things worked out very easily to be computed. So that's a very, very much contrived or engineered data set. Real-world data sets are not that nice. They're messy. They're big, lots of numbers. So in practice, we almost always use some sort of computational technology to perform our statistical computations, particularly the harder things like standard deviation, for example. So the next several slides in the accompanying videos will go over how to use certain technologies to compute basic statistical computations. We'll start with the TI-84, then move to the TI-nspire graphing calculators, which are the ones I'm assuming my students will be using in class. Then we'll talk a little bit about Excel and then maybe some statistical programs as well. There are many options here for performing some of these different computations. In my classes, we will use calculator technology to its fullest on all exams. And so you need to be able to perform all these computations on your calculator. So in my class, students will be able to bring one single calculator, any one they want, to their exams, and that's what they can use to do these computations. Now for homework, I also suggest using the same technology. And if you would rather look at some computer technology, that's good too. Excel, for example, is very, very popular and very common. And then there's some other spreadsheets that are similar to that are free, actually, that you can use that will do some of the same things. And then if you really want to do a lot with statistics, you're much better off getting some commercial statistical program that's much more powerful. I use Minitab a lot. Our university uses SPSS. If you've really got some money, want some real power, you could use SAS. And so there's several different options there. I want to talk briefly about technology versus statistical tables. In the days before the advent of readily available calculators and computers, mathematicians and statisticians painstakingly made up tables of such things as square roots, logarithms, trigonometric functions, and statistical functions. And they had to do all these computations by hand to come up with the numbers in these tables. And typically, these tables were maybe rounded off to like 4 significant digits was pretty common. And these tables then would help them perform various types of calculations. So in the days before calculators, doing complicated arithmetic usually meant using a logarithm table, for example. And however, there's a problem. If you take data from a 4 decimal place table, so the data has already been rounded off to 4 significant digits, let's say, and that's used in calculations, it will often result in final answers which are only accurate to 2 or 3 significant digits. So really, when you do calculations with a 4 significant digit table and you do any further calculations with that, you can only be confident that about 2 of the digits will be significant in your answer. So this is an example of rounding off values in the middle of a calculation, in which this is a practice should always be avoided if possible. Anytime you're doing a calculation, keep as many digits as as you really can, as your technology will allow. Now, when you're using a calculator, for example, the modern calculators, most of them actually keep a couple of digits that they don't even show you on the screen. So there's going to be maybe 10, 12, 14 digits there, significant digits. And of course, the last few of those that they don't show you may not be good, but usually when you do those computations, all those digits are accurate, or at least almost every one of them are accurate, and certainly a lot more than 4 digits. So if you want a 4-digit answer, you're going to need to use at least probably 6 digits in your accuracy as you go through the calculation. So, moral of the story is, don't round off calculations in the middle. And when you use a table of values, that's kind of what you're doing. You're using values that have been rounded off to 4 digits. Now, modern handheld calculators, computers, and even internet technology, certain websites make these tables obsolete. So you'll see that tables of square roots and cube roots and things like that, and logarithms and trigonometric functions, have disappeared from modern textbooks. Back in the day when I was in high school, you would flip to the back of any algebra textbook and you'd see a logarithmic table, for example, or you'd see a table of trig functions. Those don't exist anymore because nowadays, if you want to find a trig function, you just have your calculator find it for you. If you want to find a logarithm, your calculator does it for you. And it will easily do different basic calculations like add, subtract, multiply, divide, powers, roots, and so forth. But unfortunately, statistical tables have kind of hung on, and you'll see in the back of many statistics books, you'll see still lots of statistical tables. And these are really just as obsolete as the logarithm and trigonometric tables that you'll see in algebra books. So in my class, we will not use these antiquated tables, but we will make use of calculator technology for all exams. And for homeworks and projects, you can use either calculator or computer technology for those as well. So in the following up, we're going to have at least one video talking about descriptive statistics on the TI-84. Here is a list of some of the basic steps for entering data, sorting it, and finding descriptive statistics with a little small data set and screenshots for that for your reference. And here's a little list and some screenshots for at least a box and whiskers plot, and kind of give you an idea for some different plots. Then we'll do the same thing for the TI-nspire calculator. Here is just for reference, a basic list here and some screenshots there, and then some statistical graphing on the TI-nspire. Now, I'm assuming for my students that you'll have either a TI-84 or a TI-83 works pretty much the same, and it's just as good and for almost everything we're doing, or that you'll have the even better TI-nspire calculator, either the CAS or the non-CAS version. I'll allow either one. And I'll be showing you how to use those two calculators in these videos for everything that we're going to be doing all semester. Also, Excel is very popular, so here's there'll be a video on Excel and a couple of videos on that. And our textbook comes with a program called StatCrunch, and so I'll show you briefly how to use that. And perhaps in the future, maybe I'll add some other videos about some different technologies. For now, that's probably what we'll do. So these won't be found in these lecture notes. These videos on these different technologies, you'll see the actual technology in play in the next few videos.